Good evening, everyone. ערב טוב. Shalom לכולם. Soon we will have with us Yuval Ayalon, Yuval on hands. It's very nice to see all of you coming up on the screen. This interview will be mostly in English, but also maybe here and there few words in Hebrew. I can see already Yuval is waving us. And yes, I'm very pleased to host Yuval Ayalon with me here on Sport Live chat. Yuval Ayalon seems to have already done everything in the fitness field. He was a competitive gymnast, an Israeli champion, and also appeared in circus in Las Vegas, almost reached the Olympics. We will speak with Yuval about all of these things, about his career, about his life in Israel, in United States, in France. So it's nice to have all of you with us. I see that many more are following and coming up on the screen. I see some names that I know for many years from gymnastics field, from Israeli gymnastics team. And soon I'll ask Yuval to join us. Let me drink some tea in the meanwhile. I drink tea with some milk. Hey, Andreas from Cyprus. Leon, Jonathan. Hi, Limo. Sharon. Yeah, so I'm waving you back and I'm waiting for Yuval Ayalon to come up. Hi, Aaron Sulima. מה שלומך? Hey, Andreas. Yasu. Ron Ortal, a junior gymnast from the Israeli national team. So Yuval, whenever you're ready, just push the button of a request and I will approve you. We can start. So soon we will be speaking with Yuval Ayalon, who is very famous around the world as Yuval on hands. Ooh, Neta Rivkin, rhythmic gymnast champion already, was here with me. Neta, how are you? Ala Neta. Yep, so many people. And we're waiting for Yuval Ayalon to come up and join me with this Sport Live chat. Here is coming up. Adam Yaniv Rosen, hello, from United States. Hey, Yuval, how are you?
I figured it out.
Okay, is it your first time?
Yeah, first live chat.
Okay, so you managed to do that. Okay, you're on. That's great.
My wife helped me a little bit.
We always need our wives, around us. Actually, I would like to explain the viewers, the followers, that it's a bit strange for me to talk to you in English because we are both a mother language Hebrew. Our native language is Hebrew, but we can also speak French. Alors, bonjour, ce soir, à Paris. But we will speak in English because most of your followers around the world are English speakers. So we decided, you and me, to do this live chat in English. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
So tell me, what's going on? What's going on in Paris in this coronavirus time? It's crazy time around the world.
Well, on a personal level, not much changed with my daily schedule. I still, practice on a regular basis, wake up, do my work. I did have to cancel a bunch of workshops around the world in the last few months. But I'm hoping to start again in September, maybe a little earlier. That's difficult situation for everyone, but as far as my lifestyle, nothing really changed. The girls are at home, no school, so I wake up early in the morning, get my handstand out of the way, and then the rest of the day do stuff at the house and stuff.
When you're talking to us about, when you're telling us about your everyday schedule, about working out at home, what does it mean? How much time do you put into that effort, into working out, into handstands at home? I'm not talking about workshop.
First, I don't see it as a workout. I practice my handstand similar to the way I used to practice in gymnastics. You know, you do your warm-up, you do your routines, skill by skill, and I don't see it as a workout so much. Although it's
wait. I have to cut you over here because I have to stop you for a second, because when you're comparing it to gymnastics, I'm not sure. You were working in gymnastics at least 4 hours a day. Is that the same in handstands?
I mean, if I had the choice, yeah, of course, I would spend more than that. But yeah, it's obviously it's not the same intensity. There's no much less impact than what there is in modern gymnastics, and even from what I had when I was a kid. But the way I approach it is very similar. You know, I do my preparation, my physical preparation, and then do my routines. If in the past, when I was a gymnast, I did my warm-up, then I did some strength, and then I did the floor, and then just went through the apparatus. So today, I obviously I have one apparatus. I'm a specialist in handstand, and also head balancing in the last couple of years. So my practice includes physical preparation, as well as some basic sequences that I do in handstand, and then that leads me into the more advanced stuff, whether it's one-arm handstands, variations, and headstand. And in the middle, I continue to work on flexibility, mobility, all kind of stuff that I'm using in my own practice. What I meant though. Handstand as what I do now is not similar to. I mean, it is similar because handstand is such a fundamental gymnastic skill. That's the only similar thing. Gymnastics is so complex and so different apparatus and different styles of.
Yeah, but if you Yuval, if you ask me as a coach, what is the most important element in gymnastics, I would tell you immediately handstand. Because it appears everywhere. It appears in all apparatus.
That's true, and for me, it's a big privilege to wake up in the morning, like I was when I was 10 years old, and go and do something that I really love, and I had the same feeling for gymnastics when I was a kid.
So I want to stop you over here, and because I want our spectators, our viewers, and followers from all over the world to know a little bit more about Yuval Ayalon, Yuval on Hands, as they know you now from the beginning.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes, of course.
Can you write my mom and tell her that it's now? She wrote me. My mom is like stressed that she's gonna miss.
Okay, it's so. You better call her. Since I know your mom, it's very important. Actually, I have to tell our followers that we know each other for many, many years. I know Yuval from, I think he was 10 or 12 years old, which is a long time ago. But why don't you tell us, where did you start actually your career as a gymnast? How did it all started? How did it all begin?
I was a very active kid. I first, the joke was always he's going to end up in the circus, but I tried some gymnastics when I was 6 years old, but I was too hyper for that, and I ended up being punished all the time, and I couldn't concentrate. And then when I was around 8 years old, I lived in Haifa, and an athlete actually, and I trained at practice in Haifa. I started tennis and gymnastics, and pretty fast I realized that gymnastics was my calling. I loved this playground that it gave me. I started in Maccabi Haifa with Israel Harari, my first days. After about 3 weeks, he left.
By the way, I have to tell you something about Israel Harari, Uli, as we call him in gymnastics. Well, he's a very experienced, long-time coach and teacher. And in one of my trips to Portugal with some gymnasts for training camp, I was walking there in a city called Coimbra, and suddenly somebody is calling me, Ilan, and I'm turning back, and I see Israel Harari over there in the middle of this city with a group of people. And the funniest thing is that a year after that, I came back to the same place with other group of gymnasts, and he was there again with another group because he's a tourist guide now. But this was so funny because I didn't see him for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And suddenly I see him a year after another in Portugal. So that's about Israel. And then after Israel?
So it was actually, I started, and then right when I started, he left to the US. And then Rafi Brickner became my coach.
Yeah, Rafi Brickner was our head judge for many years in Israel.
Rafi Brickner. And then at some point, I started competing. First level, second level, and my family and I realized that I need something more than that. And I think that's when I met you. There was a program going on, the Mechunanim, in Wingate.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I met you. We all stood in a line. We went back to the wall, with our arms, and did the basic stuff. And then I started. Practicing in Wingate 3 times a week. My mom used to take me from athlete to Wingate 3 times a week. Thanks, Mom. and from there on, it's just I fell in love with the sport, and I went through a whole career of gymnastics.
Actually, I would like to ask you, because you're talking about gymnastics and you coming to Wingate and being part of the team at the beginning in the junior team, but I will ask you about your head coach at that time, Nahum Feinstein, rest in peace. He was, I mean, his name, or just mentioning him, is giving me, the gooseskin.
Yeah, it was part of Israeli Gymnastics, and he was. I trained with him from age. From age 10 to 16 or 17. And, it was like a family to me, It was really, really special guy. Of course I was a kid and we used to argue and we used to train, but I still, I was a hard worker, and you couldn't basically take me out of the gym. And, I used to be there from 3 o'clock to 7 every day, early on.
Did you think when you were a child, when you started gymnastics, let's say at the first few years, did you have other thoughts about maybe doing another sport or trying another sport, or it was only gymnastics in your mind?
No, from the moment I made the decision to do gymnastics, it was my entire world. I dreamt gymnastics. I thought about gymnastics all day. I loved going to the gym. It was
you had the virus.
The magnesium. I mean, it's really part of my childhood, and I remember as a kid just not having any doubts about what I'm doing. I couldn't imagine other kids not having what I do, with all the sacrifice that I gave, of course. But it wasn't a sacrifice. I enjoyed it so much.
You didn't feel like it's a sacrifice?
Not at all. And I think for most gymnasts that reach a high level, you don't see it as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because it fulfills something so deep, you know.
Yeah, I would tell you something that I was thinking while you're talking about gymnastics and the smell of magnesia and the smell of the gym, you know, the sweat and the dust and the magnesia and the apparatus, and this is a kind of feeling, because I was also a gymnast in the past, and being a coach and a judge and traveling around the world. Each time I get to a gym, for gymnastics gym, to and I smell that smell with, I feel like home. I feel like home. I'm okay, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same. And even though I haven't been doing, I retired more than 20 years ago. I still, this is a very big part of me. I'm a gymnast. You know, I'm always going to be a gymnast, and because that's where it started. So yeah, and that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Well, you know, I would like to ask you, Yuval, besides the enjoyment, the joy of being a gymnast and not feeling like you're sacrificing something and achieving, top level of, international level, do you think gymnastics gave you some other skills for life, not only as an athlete? I mean, like what you're doing now, or not? I mean, with your children, with everything.
For sure. I mean, I think, especially, you know, it took me a few years to go back to it, you know, after the retirement, but that's part of, I guess, the conversation. Retirement from such a sport is a very difficult part of any athlete, not only of gymnastics. And, you know, I didn't really plan to retire, but the moment, you know, it was 1998 in May, in the NCAA finals. My team made it to the finals. I landed my double pike from the P-bars, and at that moment I knew that was over. I knew, okay, I'm not. It was 2 years before the Olympics. I knew my back was not in good shape, and I knew it was over.
Yeah.
And it took me, you know, it's such like until the competition, you focus on the competition, you don't think about what after. But then at one moment I realized, okay, now I'm a big boy. What do I do with my life? And indeed, for a few years, I could say I was a little lost, because I lost a big part of my identity. My identity was from the age of 8 until 26.
Gymnast.
I'm Yuval, the gymnast. And then after everything else came after.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so I got my last 4 years of my career, I got a degree from an American university. I competed there. And so when I graduated, I got a degree in communications, and I said, okay, I'm a hard worker. I'll finish my gymnast career. I'll go, like many other actually gymnasts that retire, that finish. I tried to work in the office, and it didn't work out. And for a few years I was trying, and it just didn't feel right. And I took a break. I went to travel a little bit in India, and then when I come back, I didn't come with any answers when I come back from India, but I went away from my old patterns, and I just went with what I know, with physicality, with you know, that's when I started, you know, playing with the idea of circus. I remember. Sorry that
I remember that point when you came to meet me in Hadar Yosef in Tel Aviv, and we were speaking about maybe you becoming an actor, circus. You were not sure. I think you even took some workshops in acting.
For sure.
And I'm not sure you were thinking about Las Vegas at that time, but you were thinking about doing something on stage, and it was, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it was something for me, as from my point of view, as knowing you since you were a child, it was something very brave for you to do, because okay, gymnastics is kind of a show. You're going up on a podium, on a stage, and you perform it. But this is something that you knew how to do all your life. But thinking about you going to dance, sing, act, this was amazing.
It's nuts because people who know me, I'm not a natural dancer. I'm not a showman in my personality. I'm more, quiet, hardworking inside my, I'm a gymnast. In gymnastics, you perform on stage, on podium, but your emotions are inside. You don't show any emotion. You are executing a routine. The only emotion you do is like maybe a bow to the judge and smiling after routine. But while you're doing it, there's no interaction with the crowd. So when I came back to Israel from my travels, and I found this little this circus program in Tel Aviv. It's called Kirkas Florentine, and I started early on. I started coaching there as a gymnastics coach or acrobatic coach, and they gave me the opportunity to go to the street and start performing, doing flips, doing trampoline, doing character work. And at that point, I really enjoyed it, and it felt really natural for me, even though I wasn't sure about being on stage, but I went with it. And at this point, with time, suddenly I heard this thing called Cirque du Soleil, which has been already very it's a show that has been going all over the world, and I saw some videos of Cirque du Soleil, and I was like, okay, I'm a little old, but there's a lot of things that I see these guys on these videos that I can maybe do, and I was like, okay, so let's try and give it a try, which wasn't very it didn't really make sense as a 33-year-old kid, but I went with it, and my parents believed in it, and I started basically preparing for an open audition for Cirque du Soleil, which requires high level of acrobatics. So I had to go back in the gym, like where you met me, and go back into shape. So I took some trampoline lesson with Boris in Holon, and I went to the gym and tried to go back into being able to show gymnastics, like tsukaharas and double layout from the high bar and trampoline,
maybe even some elements better than the time that you were a gymnast. You come back to the gym smarter.
But I was like, okay, I need to build my body again, because I didn't do it for 4 years. And in the same time, I had to catch up. I took some theater classes and dance classes and experimented with different things, because in the auditions, they also require you to show that you can perform, that you can express a feeling on stage. So, in the Cirque audition, you have to sing in front of a camera, and you have to learn a choreography, and you have to improvise in addition to all the strength work and acrobatic that is all filmed. So the audition, I did the first audition for Cirque in 2002, I think, in London. And the audition went well, but the last part of the audition, which is learning a simple choreography, I just froze in front of I could not learn, and I'm still a very slow learner of choreography. Once I learn it, I'm okay, but it takes me just what direction, and so this really I felt after the audition that it wasn't enough. And they told me, okay, you are in our files. And I went back to Israel, and okay, what now? I continued to teach acrobatics and develop. And then my friend John Corbett, who you judge with them internationally, wrote me an email. Hey, Yuval, there is this company called Dragon. They are looking for gymnasts, and I said, oh, I've never heard about Dragon, even though the guy was the director of all the big shows of Cirque. He was director of Alegria and Kidam and Saltimbanco, and I never heard about the guy. I said, okay. So it was a year later, and I kept preparing for physically, developing my acrobatic skills as well as stage. And this time the audition was in Barcelona in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. And this time the audition itself was also closing like a circus, סגירת מעגל. It was on the mountain in Barcelona where the Olympics, there was like this beautiful mountain overlooking the city, and the gym where they were training, the training gym was there. That's where the audition was. Beautiful.
Yeah. By the way, I think that you and me, we were together in Barcelona for Universiade games or something like that.
Yeah,
long time before.
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
So in the audition there, you know, I also it was a water show. So I had, before the audition, I also went to the pool and prepared for the pool to swim and everything. I was all ready, and in the audition itself, I really nailed it. I felt very confident about what I do. We were like 40 guys, and they chose 2 out of us. And 2 weeks later,
and you stuck your dismount. You really nailed it.
10 leg squats in every leg. I swam, did them, Tsukaharas, the whole deal. It was hurting after, but still.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I found myself in Vegas. 2-3 weeks later. Which was, you know, I'm 33 years old. I completely changed my life, and landed in Vegas, and started, you know, learning my role in the show, which was, it's a whole, I can talk a whole conversation just about my experience in Vegas, but
we will do that in our next the Sport Live chat for sure. But
so to start combining where it leads me, I started actually flirting with handstand before Vegas. As I was teaching, you know, acrobatics in Israel, in Holon and in Adar Yosef and stuff, I kind of realized the first thing I teach every session was I put them on the wall and we do handstands.
I want to stop you here for a second, Yuval, because you're talking about handstands, and there is one follower that is asking you, how can you reach the possibility to stand on hands for so long, because she feels lots of pain in the wrist. So maybe you have an answer for that. I'm sure that lots of followers are asking this.
The answer would be the same for any advanced high-level sport. You need to create a certain level of foundation and adaptation to the activity that you're doing. In order, and because handstand is inherently repetitive, any way you look at it, it's still going to be hundreds and thousands of repetitions. So usually, and that's also how I approach it today when I teach it. The problems happen because people start too fast with very bad form or bad technique, poor technique. Of course, if you have a lack of flexibility in your shoulders and your wrist, it's going to be even a longer process. You can't really push it. I don't have an exact answer for everyone, but the main focus that I give in my workshop is to create a good base of how to practice correctly, so the hundreds of repetitions are going to be in a correct form and not put your joints under unnecessary stress, which often cause the issues. Wrist, shoulders.
Can you tell us when will be your next workshop? First, maybe in Israel or around the world, because I have so many questions from people about that.
I mean, I tell you the truth, I don't know the dates, but I'm starting in Europe to have a workshops in Germany, a lot in Germany, in Finland, starting in September, assuming everything is going to open up. And then I'm basically every 2 weeks I travel mostly around Europe because it's so close to where I live. I live in Paris, and I've been also going to China and Thailand, and occasionally to the US. But because I'm in France, it's just very convenient for me to go to a different country every other weekend, take a train or take a 1-hour flight, and I'm in a different city with a different community of handstanders.
Talking about all these countries that you visit and have workshops, besides the work, which place would you like to visit again? Not for working.
That's the thing. Like even though I travel all the weekend, all these great cities, I don't really see much of the city. I go. I usually I meet with the people that my host of the workshop, and I hang out with them, and it's more about the people than the places. And I spend the whole day in the gym or in the studio and doing teaching the handstand. There are many cities that I love being.
But if you have some time with Ariel to go somewhere with your wife,
Barcelona is a place Barcelona, Roma is
okay.
I love these places. Yeah, Mediterranean.
That's nice. Yuval, what if you could go backward and talk to little Yuval Ayalon at the age of 8, 9, starting his career in gymnastics? What would you tell him? What would you suggest him?
I mean, I thought, it was more maybe later on. I'm like, sometimes I focus too much on the value of hard work, which is super important. Everybody works hard, but maybe the planning, focus on the planning a little more. But then again, you are a gymnast. I changed so many coaches along the way. Every few years, I went to the US. I went to, and it's hard to say. I would say for any kid, not for do it. Do something that you're passionate about, that you love. Work hard and do the best you can. Get the best out of yourself. That's how I still see it. Also, what I've been doing as a performer, and later on, my third career now as a handstand practitioner and teacher.
Would you like your daughters to be gymnasts?
They'll have to choose to do it. My actually one of them is a swimmer, a synchronized swimmer, like her mom. And the other, just this year, chose that she wants, she started gymnastics and rhythmic gymnastics, and she decided she wants to be a rhythmic gymnast. And I'm very happy. She was a little worried that I'll not be happy, but I told her, no, of course. Do what you love, because you're going to do it for so many years, if you wish. And it's important that you make a choice. And it's a hard one. Even as a gymnast, you ask yourself, or as an athlete, how many of the decisions you make are yours, or influenced by your parents or by your environment, the expectations, stuff like that. So yeah, as a gymnast, do it because you love it, because it's so difficult and there's so much sacrifice, physical and mental sacrifice. You need to love it and be passionate about it in order to do it for a long time, and deal with successes or failures. And like everyone.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
By the way, you were talking about your last years after being a gymnast, that you didn't know exactly where to go, where to train, what to do. Because mostly all of your life you were a gymnast, and this was your identity. I want to tell you that now in Israel we have a new project in the Olympic Committee. It calls the day after. which we are directing our super athletes, Olympic athletes in all kind of sports. We are directing them to academic school, to businesses. We help them mentally how to quit gymnastics in a proper way. But I would like to ask you, Yuval, for example, what are you afraid of in life? I want to ask some other questions, not only about gymnastics.
Yeah, I'm afraid of not being able to live my passion. It's a big one.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very big one. Yeah.
It's a big one, and especially and it connects to the whole issue of retirement. And every athlete, I mean, there is a denial. As long as you're an athlete, competitive athlete, you're focused on the moment of your next goal, the Olympics or the World Championships over there. And then suddenly, when it happens, and most athletes, I don't think that, okay, in 2 years, I'm going to retire. Nobody says that or thinks in these terms, because you have to put yourself into it fully. So when suddenly it happens, and it usually happens suddenly, then it's like a little trauma. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to even deal with it. And I'm, I feel very lucky that I went with it, and I took the chances and went. I ran away to the circus when I was in my mid-30s. It doesn't. It's not something I would recommend to everyone. But I'm glad I had the. I had the guts to do it, and I went with it fully. And
you had the balls to do it. Admit it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Although I didn't think, I didn't think much. I didn't plan.
But I was watching you from Israel. Watching your steps, your first steps in the States, and I admired you for that, because I knew you. We know each other for many years, and I said to myself, listen, this guy is really brave. He's going with his dream, and this is something that not many people have the courage, the guts to go with their dream. This is something that you can look backward and say, okay, I did it, I made it, and plus you gain your wife.
Yeah, which I met very early on in the show, and we performed together for 7 years. And had 2 children, 2 beautiful girls, and in Vegas, while still performing. So it has a huge. It's a huge part of my life, and we didn't even talk about handstand, because it kind of developed along with my career in Vegas, my years in Vegas, my 8 years in Vegas. So going back, I when I started coaching in Israel before Vegas, I started researching alone on whatever was in the internet. There wasn't much videos at the time, just Cirque du Soleil numbers, and I started experimenting with it and learned. I kind of figure out how to do a one-arm handstand. Not that great, but I figured it out after a few weeks of playing with it. And that's when I said, okay, I really enjoy it. The process of learning this one skill and going deep and deeper in it. And I start searching for teachers, and which led me to France. I found an old handstand master called Claude Victoria. That was his stage name.
The Marcel Marceau of the handstand.
Something like that. He passed away 2 years ago at the age of 84. He was doing inversions until the end, teaching until the very last days.
I wonder if he asked them to bury him in handstand.
I don't know. No, I don't
I'm
think that.
just,
You know,
yeah.
he was just, you know, it doesn't happen very, you don't see it very often. He just, that was his life. You know, he performed until he was 60, 65, and then after that he became a
Amazing,
teacher and had,
amazing.
and when I met him, he was 74. And you know, so he invited me to work with him for 1 week. I stayed at his home, and he basically gave me, he didn't teach me handstand because I had my 10,000 hours on handstand from gymnastics. So, but he tweaked it and gave me a very clear map of what hand balancing is. So, you know, it's kind of a parallel world of sports acrobatics and gymnastics and circus. There are parallel worlds that are very different and very similar at the same time. But he gave me the rules, and then since my meeting with him in 2004, I can say every day I train with the method that he gave me in that week, mostly on my own. But he gave me. I'm my own coach most of the time, but he gave me the direction. Okay, this is how the shape should look like, and I've been aiming for it all these years.
And it's crazy, Yuval, because you know it's amazing because when we watch your handstand, it is perfect. I mean, if you look at the angles, at the arm,
you're a tough judge, right?
I'm
No
a tough judge.
one is tougher than when you judge yourself. You know, you know, every time I post a lot of Instagram posts of a little glimpse of my daily practice. And every day I choose a little skill or a little element or a little sequence that is part of my daily work that I'm working on, and I've been sharing it. So for me, feeling myself, and before I post it, I critique myself. No, I could point. No, I can bring in my ribs. Oh, I can do this. No, it's not good. So I'll do it a few times, and this also empowers me also to continue going, develop myself as a practitioner. That's the positive thing of Instagram, with all the crap. But it's been an amazing tool for me. Aside from promoting myself, my workshops, it's like a personal blog that I've been sharing for the past almost 8-9 years.
Sure. By the way, there are some comments over here. Some of the people, you know them, but one of them, Adam Rosen, is writing, what you do on your head, I can't do even on my legs.
I'm not that good on my legs, but
some of your old friends from gymnastics, let's say Ron Kaplan, Yuda Bello, Yaakov Levy, all of them, yeah, they are all here with us, and they're very happy to see you. Yuval, we are almost at the end of the interview. I'm telling you already that I would love to invite you to do it one more time and to go to the second chapter of your life. We will sure do that and touch some more things. I would like to ask you a few questions with short answers. Okay, when did you cry lately?
It was some movie on a flight a long time ago. I mean, back from China. What movie was it? I don't remember, but it was a movie.
Back from China? The name of the movie was Coronavirus.
I always see these movies I never see in the theater, and I sit in the flight to China and see. I don't even remember what movie, but I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay. Who will be the actor to play a movie on your life?
I don't know. Adam Sandler?
Ooh, our friend. Hobbies besides handstand and gymnastics and.
I mean, handstand. I like juggling. Yeah, I think a hobby is quite. I'm set. My job is my hobby. I'm lucky.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thinking about coaching gymnastics in the future, or besides handstand?
No, I helped a little bit in my daughter's gym. You know, I have a very deep respect for for men or women coaches, and I think I'm a selfish in a good way. I need to do the gymnastics, you know, and I think a coach needs to put everything aside and live for his gymnasts, spend all the day where they are on stage. And I think I need to all the time develop my skill. This is my passion. I want to do the gymnastics rather than teach it. In with the time, I suddenly became not a gymnastics coach, but I teach handstands. I share my knowledge with people. So in a way, I am a coach, but in a different. I'm not a I don't teach people for competition. It's not sport. It's more of like a skill-based practice that happens to be very popular these days, which I'm happy with.
Yuval, I know you, and you seems like a very positive guy, but what makes you angry?
When sometimes, you know, I tend to forget stuff or be so focused on what I'm doing, but then I forget stuff. Sometimes you know, I could be a little bit more organized. I get angry at myself. But
did you check that? Did you check that your mom is watching us? Is she watching us? Is that?
I believe so. I believe so.
One of our followers is asking, is saying I can do handstand by kicking the legs, but I cannot press to handstand.
So it's a good question, and I always answer the same. Don't waste your time learning to press to handstand before you learn how to do a handstand. As simple as that. You know, first you learn how to hold the handstand, then you learn a series of mounts that you use a momentum to go into handstand without effort. And then, assuming that you have the flexibility and the strength, you start developing it. But always, that's at least my approach, is first learn the handstand. There's so much to learn. The skill, it doesn't, you know, I have students from every age, from kids to people in their 60s that are working on handstand. There's no really age limitation to it. So yeah, that's my answer. Start with the handstand. Find a teacher if you can't. There are people, a lot of my colleagues are doing workshops around the world, beginner workshops. That will save a lot of time understanding how to practice, because the only way to learn it is by repeating it. It's not just like you read about it in a book, okay, you push. It doesn't work like this. You need to receive some good feedback and then put down the work. Yeah.
Some other people from your past, Ilana Katz is saying, hi Yuval, so many good memories from all these years. Matan Bello, Gymnast Fit, is he really wants to meet you again in Israel or somewhere around the world.
I want to meet all of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see who else. Yuval, you're always inspiring me now here in this conversation. Really appreciate and respect you. Some people from Israel are asking, when are you coming back to Israel? We're waiting for you. From all over the world, from India. Someone is asking, is he single? No, he's not. He's married with two daughters, lovely daughters. That's really nice. Best classes ever. Somebody's writing best classes ever. Okay, Yuval, we are almost at the end of this Sport Live chat. So now we have the questions that you have to answer really quickly. It's this and that question. It's, you know, and you have to really not think too much. Just say, oh, wait. Mom sends love. Mom sends love, yeah. We made it, Yuval.
Thanks for
everything. Swimming pool or the sea?
Sea.
Sea. Morning or evening?
Morning.
Hamburger or steak?
Steak.
Pizza or sushi?
Sushi.
Watermelon or melon?
Watermelon.
Whiskey or vodka?
Tequila. No, yeah, I'll go with tequila.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Apropos whiskey or vodka, I remember what you drank in Paris when we were together at that time. But this is for the next, for our next one. Okay, let's say Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Putin or Trump?
Putin.
Ooh, Putin.
I would even teach him a handstand.
I'm sure you would learn.
Easy.
Really? Easy. Summer or winter?
Summer.
A dog or a cat?
We have cats, but a dog, I would say.
Okay. Football or basketball?
Basketball.
If it's basketball, so Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Jordan.
Jordan. And by the way, did you see his series now on Netflix?
Not yet. Good.
It's really great. Really great. Okay, something from gymnastics. Leaning or Bilozerchev?
Leaning.
Leaning.
Yeah. I grew up on these guys. The dream team, the Soviet from the Soviet era. They're all, they're on posters on my wall. These guys. They're all amazing, and I always, as a kid, looked up to them and tried to imitate them, and still I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, we have been together at your last World Championship in Indianapolis, 91.
Yeah.
Or did you have another one after? Okay, 91. Yeah,
91.
I still have that picture on the wall. I see you there with the tie, with the suit and the tie. It's just in front of me. I'll show you some other time. Okay, let's go on. Theater or cinema?
Theater.
Snow or rain?
Snow.
Snow. Dancing or singing?
Singing. Believe it or not, but I'm a better singer than a dancer for sure.
I'd love to hear you, Yuval. Okay, sweet or spicy?
Spicy. Salty,
spicy. Salty, spicy. Last question. Hope or freedom?
Freedom.
Yeah. In every freedom we have some hope. Some people are asking here, just before we are ending this conversation, this chat, when are you coming to Spain? Few of them are asking Spain. I see a lot of Spain.
Actually, I haven't taught in Spain yet, just in Ibiza. Let's make it happen. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go to Spain eventually. Yeah. Usually it's just the way I meet people in my workshops, and then a relationship is formed, and then I go to the country, a different country, and then it kind of like it happens organically.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure,
definitely Spain is in the list, on the list.
I'm sure that you will publish your list as soon as possible, and I of course I will share it too. With all our friends
on my website. You can, and my Facebook page, yuvalonhands.com, or Yuval on Hands on Facebook. You can always have my updated workshop list. So if you feel like if you are a beginner, I always have in my events a beginner workshop for people who don't have a freestanding handstand, and intermediate advanced workshop for people who are already comfortable on their hands. So it's a good opportunity to get feedback, real-time feedback, and a lot of the time I see people again and again. So yeah.
By the way, what was your best apparatus? What do you think was your best apparatus? I'm wearing this shirt just for you. Look, you see.
I was a classic all-arounder. It shifted. I loved high bar, but it's not necessarily my best scoring event. I loved rings. It kind of changed over the years, but I really loved the challenge. I liked all of the, maybe vault. I wasn't crazy. It wasn't. I was running like an elephant. But yeah, so I was a good, solid all-arounder. That was my strength. Also in college, I was brought there as an all-arounder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And back,
okay, so
back in the day, by the way, it's a relative. Just when I retired from gymnastics, suddenly they started having competition for specialists. All my career in gymnastics, there was either all around or nothing. You couldn't be like a ring specialist or a high bar specialist. And today, I think among other changes in the sport, this is a big one that I think brought gymnastics forward a lot, because you have places for people that with special talent for one apparatus. So it just the level is really skyrocketing.
For sure. Why quitting gymnastics if you're not good on pommel horse or on vault and you are perfect on some other apparatus? Yuval Ayalon.
It's the case, yeah. We can keep talking.
I can do that forever, and I promise all our followers and all our viewers from tonight that we will do that again with Yuval, because there are so many things to talk about with you. It was such a big, enormous pleasure for me.
Well, for me as well.
I really, really love you, first of all, as a person, second, as an athlete, third, as a performer, and to combine all these things together is really amazing. So you are more than welcome again and again. I have to tell you also in Hebrew, and also for our followers from Israel, יובל אילון, אלוף ישראל לשעבר, המתאמן שעשה את הדרך מהנבחרת הישראלית.
אמא שלי נלחצה שלא ישמעו.
כן. עשה את הדרך מישראל לארצות הברית, לקולג', מהקולג' ללאס וגאס, והיום מלמד עמידות ידיים בכל העולם. מרסי בוקו בוקו, שטומברס טרפור.
שתהיה שבת שלום.
אביינטו. Thank you, יובל.
ודש לכולם בארץ. אנחנו חייבים לארגן מפגש פעם הבאה.
חייבים. רק תגיד לנו מתי אתה מגיע.
100%. יאללה.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.
אני חושבת שזה היה...